Stop seeing investing in yourself as a loss. What you gain from it, you can't compare. You cannot put a price tag on that. There is one thing that I believe absolutely, hands down, without negotiation, has to shift prior to you beginning your funding journey, okay? And that is your mindset. Your mindset around entrepreneurship, your mindset around yourself, around the life that you want to create, around the impact that you want to make on the kingdom and on this world in the time that God has allotted for you to be here. Your mindset needs to change if you are going to begin this journey of securing funding for your business. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Visionary, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode on the Nothing for Granted podcast. So many things are happening, so many moving pieces are going on, and if you want to stay up to date with me, of course you can follow me on socials at Sloan the Beast, but I encourage you to join my newsletter. The link is down below, where I'm going to be keeping you updated on upcoming grant opportunities and life updates if you are juggling motherhood and trying to be an intentional and present wife and growing this business and vision that God has put on your heart. Then you want to be on the newsletter, okay? I highly encourage you to join me there. Weekly updates on funding, weekly updates on life and productivity and juggling all the things and doing it with intentionality, with purpose, doing it with, let's be real, rawness, because it looks messy, but this is what we've been given. This is where we're at. And as humans, we're going to have great moments, and I want to share those moments with you, and we're going to have icky moments. And I want to share those with you too, because I don't care how long you've been in business. I don't care where in your journey you are at. Life is life, and it's going to hit us one way or another. And why not do it together? So go ahead and join me on the newsletter. That's going to be down below. So today I'm going to be speaking to you if you are in this space where you still, after listening to all of my episodes, after hearing how funding has absolutely transformed the way I'm able to show up for my business, the things that I've been able to accomplish for my daughter's business, the business my husband and I are building, and the life ultimately that we have been able to create and the impact we've been able to make, all glory to God, of course, with the help of funding. If you still have not started, I really believe it's because you have not made the necessary changes to your mindset. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you still don't really believe you're worthy. For whatever reason, whatever lies have been told to you, either unconsciously that you're still holding on to, or consciously you know what the issue is, you still seem to think that you are not worthy of other people's commitment financially or otherwise to your business. You're still seeing your business as something that is small and insignificant and just a side hustle and all these things that make your business, your vision, your work inferior to other companies out there. And you're not doing yourself justice. You're not doing God's vision justice. Because let's be very clear here. Nothing that God does is small at all. He created you, and you were meant to take up space. You are so worthy of other people investing in you, spending money with you, growing with you, joining forces with you. Absolutely, you are so worthy, but I can tell you that day and night, until you start to believe that, though, it means nothing. And so number one, the shift you need to make in your mindset that will ultimately run through the rest of you, run through into the energy that you put out, run through into the way that you show up confidently every day for your business, is understanding and really really truly believing that you are so worthy of everything that God has for you, every resource that He has already determined is for you. You're worthy of that. You deserve that. And I know that that can be a word that as Christians we really struggle with, like, oh, I don't deserve this, or I don't deserve that. Guess what? The Bible tells me that my sins, they're in the abyss. They're at the end. They're at the most deepest parts of the ocean. Therefore, I don't need to continue living in this cycle of I'm not worthy, or I'm lesser than, or my sins cancel me out. It means that, I shouldn't be here. And while all those things are true, I choose to, instead of living in regret, to live in grace. I choose to live in my identity as a child of God and say, wait a minute, I have inheritance here, I have purpose here, I have authority here. Not only am I worthy, but this is my right, this is my birthright. As a born-again Christian, daughter of the Most High King, this is my birthright. This business, these businesses, that's my birthright. And you need to believe that for yourself. Number 2, I want to just tell you, your story is enough. Your story is enough. Not only are you enough, but your story is enough. In the past couple of weeks, thanks to the amazing, incredible feedback that you guys have been giving and so much hard work that we have put into the creation and production of this podcast, I have had the absolute privilege of being on other podcasts, and these podcast hosts have been so incredible in the feedback that they've given me. And one thing is that I have received from them is my ability to tell a story, and to tell my story in a way that is relatable, to tell my story in a way that there's an arc there, in a way that doesn't discredit anyone in any point of their journey. And it's because who am I to do that, first of all, but also because I have come to understand that my story is enough. I don't need to fabricate any part of my story. I don't need to fabricate any part of what I've been through, the lessons I've learned, just to compare to someone else. That does mean no good. It does mean nothing, because there's no authenticity in that. But my story touches people because maybe not everyone can relate to former addiction, but I bet somebody can relate to going on their second, third, fourth child and not really wanting that for their life. Really questioning God and saying, this wasn't part of the deal. I didn't want kids. And that's very much a part of my story. I did not want children. I never anticipated. I'd been told I couldn't have kids. To now have 4 children that I homeschool, that I run a business for and alongside. Wow. God's plans are so much bigger than ours. And I can tell that story with pain, and I can tell that story with genuinity, because I experienced those things. I had to have a literal slap in the face, come to Jesus moment where I was face to face with my Maker, in a moment where I had to be humbled by the privilege that I have of being able to have my own children, where there's hundreds of thousands of women that are struggling with infertility. I can share that story, and that story is enough. I don't have to add to it or take away from it, because the story within itself, what I went through, has exactly what somebody else needs to encourage them through a similar situation. And then they will be able to share that with somebody else and say, you know what? I really didn't want to have kids. I really thought that this was the end for me. I thought that I wouldn't be able to go back to school. I thought that I'd be nothing more than a stay-at-home mom. I don't find fulfillment in parenthood. But I heard this woman on a podcast whose story was so similar. And I heard how she was able to overcome that. And I heard how she had a face-to-face encounter with God. and how she was able to shift her mindset around parenthood and about what it meant for her life and about her identity as a mother. I heard her story, and now I can share my story because she shared her story as well. Your story is enough, and you don't know who you're going to impact down the road by the things that you have encountered. Sometimes we want to create our own drama. We want to create our own telenovelas. For what? For what? We have enough drama going on in the world around us. You have enough. What you're going through is enough for the people you were called to serve. Own that. Own that. You don't have to travel to Thailand in order to create this amazing life. Guess what? There's people who don't want to travel, who travel is not even, that's not what they want to do. I know people like that. To me, it's crazy. But there's people who are content in just having land and a farm and living out their life just super grounded in what they have as homemakers and as builders of families. And that is a job within itself. I'm not discrediting that at all. But there's people who, what you are going through, what your dreams and aspirations are, and what you are living out, that's exactly what they want. So know that your dream, your story is enough. You are enough. Number 3, and with this point I will end today's episode, is your skills are enough. I know when I first started out in this space, I was really conflicted because I said, I haven't been doing this full time when I first started my business, and I was like, man, I need to really get my track record up. I really need more clients. I need to demonstrate that this is something that I could do at a mass scale. And then you know what I realized? You only need to be a couple of steps in front of someone else to start your business. You don't need to have it all figured out. And I definitely didn't. But I did the work, and I showed up, and I invested heavily in myself to give the results to my clients that they deserved and that I knew I could provide. And now, years later, I am able to confidently say that I can deliver. I can do the work, and I can do it well, and I know what I'm talking about. But it took time, and that does not mean that I'm not still learning. We're always learning. And if you think that you're in a place where, I got it all figured out, you don't. You don't. Business evolves, especially nowadays. My husband and I were just having this conversation about how different it is to grow a business now than it was just 5 years ago. There are so many different moving pieces and different elements now that you as a business owner, you but you should know. Even prior to delegating the workout, there's things that you are required of you, things like branding. All of a sudden, everyone wants beautiful branding. They want beautiful messaging. They want to work and spend money with businesses that have strong values and aligned values to what they care about. There's so many other things that go into being a business owner today that we didn't see 5-10 years ago. So you're always going to be learning. But I want you to know that you do not need to have it down packed, perfect. You just need to start. You need to start. And just starting and believing that your technique will get better the more that you work at it, the more that you invest in yourself. Guys, I cannot stress enough that the biggest growth that I experienced as a CEO is when I started heavily investing in myself. The free classes, the YouTube videos, the $50 courses, I'm not saying they won't get you results, but they will not get you where you have the potential of being until you start to align yourself with the people that will get you there. And guess what? That has a cost to it. You're not going to see the real results that you want. It's just not going to happen. I started realizing that if I wanted people to spend $2,000, $5,000 with me, I had to spend that same amount of money. Stop seeing investing in yourself as a loss. What you gain from it, you can't compete. You cannot You cannot put a price tag on that. I was recently asked, what is the number one thing that has shifted for you in the last couple years? What do you think has made you such a better CEO in the last 5 years than when you first started? And for me, it is having a mentor. For me, it is investing in myself, because once I hired a coach, once I started investing in actual programs that were intensive, oh, my mindset changed so much, so much. I can't even be in the same room as people who don't have that level up. Let's be honest. I completely shut down because I cannot have conversations with people who do not understand or can see the value in investing in themselves, cannot see the value in investing in their business and going big. I can't do it, because I've seen the way it has shifted for me, for my business, for my husband, for my child as she continues to grow her business. And it's like, oh, you don't even get it because you're not even there. You're still stuck on, I can't spend these $50. Bro, the $50 you're going to multiply 10 times over with what you're going to learn. Forget about the fact that this isn't going to make you money right now. Can we talk about the foundational elements that you need to have in place to sustain your growth later? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm building. When you're building an empire, you cannot expect to build your empire penny pinching. That's not real. Go back and read all of the millionaires and the people who have been majorly influential in the past decade. Oh, they risked it big. They went big, and that's why they won big. And so I started researching who were the people that I wanted to mimic, who are the people that I could relate to, that I could be like. What exactly did I want my lifestyle to look like? And I'm not even talking about, like when I talk about curate your lifestyle, creating a life you're obsessed with, I'm not even talking about material things, because you guys know I live a fairly minimalist life. I'm not talking about material things. I'm talking about the freedom that I have to homeschool my children the way I want to homeschool them, where I want to take them. I'm talking about living experiences with my husband, being able to build a business with my husband, being able to invest in myself the way that I deserve. These are freedoms and privileges that not everybody gives themselves, because there's privileges that we are not given as we grow up. And yes, there are disadvantages, but there are privileges that we do not allow ourselves to have. And I do believe that one of those is the investment of ourselves. And so if you're going to change your mindset, you need to start changing the way that you do things. And so if you're relying on, nothing wrong with these things, but if you're relying on the free podcast, if you're relying on the free YouTube video, if you're relying on the $5 journal or the $30 course, you're limiting yourself so much. Because the real value comes when you go all in. And in order for you to change your mindset, you have to be all in, because this is an evolution. You never stop. You never stop. My sister's always like, well, you're always in a course. You're always working with a coach. Yes, I am. Because the highest version of myself, she is always growing. She understands that every single level of my business, of my life, of my motherhood, the way that I raise my kids requires a different level of me. And because I've never been there before, I have to do things that I've never done before. I have to learn things I've never learned before. There's levels to this. And I want 2023 to be the most prosperous year for you. The most prosperous year for you. And that starts with changing the way you see yourself, the way you see your business, the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you speak to the people that are surrounding you. I want you to join my newsletter, because you will be the first to hear all about my 2-day event that is launching this December, completely transforming transform not just your mindset, the way you see your business, the way you talk about your business. Oh, it's so juicy. I'm so excited. Wait for next week's episode where I'm going to be sharing all of the details. But if you're on the newsletter, you will be getting deets beforehand. Yes, you're welcome. Join via the link down below. Visionary, thank you so much. I want to make a quick prayer for you before we hop off. Jesus, thank you so much for this day. You are sublime. You cease to amaze me in your creativity, in the way that you love us. Thank you. And we are sorry if we have failed you in our humanity. Forgive us, cleanse us. We're sorry if we see these visions that you have given us as minuscule, because nothing that you do is small. Thank you for the incredible things that you are getting ready to do with us, through our work, through the skills that you've deposited in us. Thank you for this event, God. I bless it in this moment. I bless every single person that's going to be there. I pray that you provide the resources for their business, for their teams, for the growth and investments that they are making in themselves. God, thank you for this moment of fellowship, that everybody under the sound of my voice can be touched, can be healed. God, if that is what they need, transform their minds like your word says, that we are renewed every single day. Thank you for this privilege of knowing you and for the promise of everlasting life. In Jesus' name, amen. Many blessings on you, Visionary. I'm going to hop off this mic. As you can hear, my littles have just gotten home and they're wild. So I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. Many blessings on you. Catch you in the next one.
Before you go, don't forget to rate, review, and share this podcast with a friend that needs to hear it. See you in next week's episode.